with my Aunt Patsy, I learned that tributes in the Bahamas are to be short. I'm trying to maintain that I have learned that here. So I wanted to narrow down what Margaret Adderley Higgins meant to be. And the first word, and I've heard it often this morning, is she represented love. And I'm going to add unconditional love. You know, so often you hear that that is what comes from your parents and only your parents. But evidently, my Aunt Margaret did not get that rule book. Because for her, the family was anyone and everyone. And when I think of my Aunt Margaret, the words quiet strength come to mind. And then just seeing the pictures up here this morning, it reminds me of that which I will miss most, and that was her lovely, ingratiating smile. The quiet strength in raising an absolutely beautiful family, outwardly, as we can all see, but also, more importantly, what's inside, so the love of Lord, the love of family. And I will tell you this, that to live so far away, to live in Minneapolis, Minnesota, but to be able to get in a car or on a plane or on a boat and to come to Nassau all those hours, but still feel absolutely like you were at home. You were never a guest with Aunt Margaret. And I want to say two other things. When I think about Margaret, I think of a person who cared very much about people. And she cared about all of our friends in Minneapolis. And I always knew what the conversation with Aunt Margaret would be like. So whether it was on Facebook or whether it was on the phone, she asked about every single person that she ever met. And when you leave here today or tomorrow, someone may ask you, how are you feeling? How are you doing today? And when you start to give the answer, they might all of a sudden become quite busy and leave. But when Aunt Margaret said, how are you doing today? How are your friends and all that? She absolutely cared. And you knew this because she asked you about your answer later. We absolutely loved our aunt, and I'll conclude by saying this. I believe that my Aunt Margaret was one of the wealthiest people I have ever known. Not wealth the way that some people look at it in terms of how fancy your house is, how nice your clothes is, how nice your worldly possessions are. But for me, Aunt Margaret was wealthy because she gave love and she got it back in abundance, as was evidenced by last night. And so when I start to feel sad, then I look at those pictures up here and I start to feel glad because this is just temporary. This is a season of change. And if anyone deserves to be in heaven on this day, it is my Aunt Margaret. She was a remarkable woman. May she rest in peace. Amen.